Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. I'm a little under the weather, so you can tell by the way I sound. I've been sort of dealing with an illness here the last couple of days. Hope it'll clear up soon on medication, so hopefully that'll help. But the host is still reeling from the Mets collapse. I think we all are. It's very difficult to watch these playoff games. To record this video, the Reds are playing the Dodgers. It pisses me off because I warned so many people online that if the Mets did not play better, that the team they had to watch out for was the Reds. And sure enough, I should have put out some lotto numbers too. Got that right, my goodness. But we got different viewpoints. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. This is from a former major leaguer, former MVP, former New York Met, Vaughn. I guess he kind of does these podcasts, I guess. Sort of a guest on some of these things, or he has one. The one thing I got to deal with is these people, these industry people with their podcasts. So that's why you need to subscribe to this channel. I'm an independent person. And, of course, I'm just doing my thing, on my own. The first Met podcast, the first Met YouTuber, as far as I know. But here we have an article. And I tried to find the audio to this, and I couldn't find it. This is from Fox News. EX-MLB star Vaughn pinpoints why Mets collapsed and missed postseason. Now, a lot of times I don't read this beforehand. But I read this because, I was not feeling well, so I had time to read it. And he had some interesting things to say. Again, I don't necessarily believe this, but let me read the article. The Mets were at one point 45-24, had the best record in baseball, but ended the season at 83-79 and missed the postseason. One time, American League MVP Vaughn talked with Fox News Digital about the Mets' collapse and where it went wrong. Vaughn discussed how the team's National League Championship Series run in 2024 may have played a factor. Now, as you know, Vaughn played for the Mets, but he was pretty much done. He had a bad back. They never should have brought him in here. But he was a good player with the Red Sox. He was really good with the Red Sox. And then he signed a contract, I think, with the Angels. And he and a few other players ousted Terry Collins back in the day. They had a mutiny on the team. But that's an aside. That doesn't mean anything about this video. But they went all the way to the League Championship Series last year. They knew how to do that. They knew how to get there. And what happens is that you spend a lot of energy getting to that point. Now you're reset. You got another season, but you're not as sharp. One told Fox News Digital. Quote, you're not as on point, you're not as particular because it just takes that concentration. If you have that opportunity to get there, you're going to turn it on. And that's what I felt about the Mets. Now, I will say this, and I've talked about this a lot for the last few years, is that this group has had this problem before. To where they have these really strong runs. They were great in 2022, and they played terrible in 23. They played really well from June on in 2024. And then it just didn't, and then after June this year, they just sort of fizzled. So this has been a sort of a long-term issue with this particular group of New York Mets. So I disagree with him to a degree. They just have to reconfigure their brains, one said. And it's not that you're talking, and it's not like you're not taking it seriously. I want fans to understand. It's not like anybody was lollygagging or anybody was not playing harder. It just needed that fine-tuned concentration to get yourself to the playoffs. That I agree with. They certainly were distracted. One said the Mets will have a new mentality going into spring training next season. But I think now what's going to happen is they're going to go back to spring training, and they've had that year where they didn't make it. They're going to be thinking about the year that they did make it, and now they're going to go about the business of everything matters. One said, when everything matters, that's when you get the best baseball that's played, but they'll learn it. They'll get there. They're too talented. They got too many guys. They got too many guys that know how to play. Vaughn also praised Juan Soto for having an awesome first season with the Mets. There's a lot of hype of being the highest paid player. You got that whole Yankee Mets Why did he go? Where did he go? Did he stay? He should have stayed. Blah blah. That's just that. Man, everybody kick back. Let this guy do his work. Exactly. One mentioned how it might have taken some time for Soto to adjust at the beginning of the year. You're kind of like you're like in a little fog. You're not sure where you are. But once he got his feet on the ground, he was the best guy out there. So he came out and it was 40 home runs, 30 stolen bases, 100 walks, 100 RBIs, and 160 games. Soto had a 283 batting average. That was 263. With 43 homers, 105 RBIs, 38 stolen bases, which led the National League. Wow. I saw that statistic. I couldn't believe it. He led the National League in stolen bases? Holy shit. Wow. I didn't realize that. I saw that on Baseball Reference. He led the National League in stolen bases? And it's that low? With the big bases? Wow. So his on-base percentage of .396 also led the National League. Wow. I didn't realize that. I thought I was reading things. Unfortunately for the Mets, it wasn't enough to propel them to the postseason. Vaughn played in the major leagues for 12 seasons. He spent 8 with the Boston Red Sox, 2 with the then Anaheim Angels, and 2 with the Mets. Three-time All-Star had a .293 batting average with 328 home runs and 1,064 RBIs. He has a podcast called the Vaughn Podcast. Oh, isn't that original? Which debuted in August. He's interviewed former MLB Commissioner Bud Selig, 6-time All-Star Kenny Lofton, and many other former players. Now, again, I mentioned this is a monster I deal with. All these former players that have the ability to communicate well. Some players don't communicate well, but there are some players that you want to hear and listen to. That's why you need to subscribe to the Baseball Hut, because for many, many reasons. Like I said, I'm just an independent person doing my thing. But, yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree with some of the first part I disagree with him about. This has been a long-term, problem here, all right, for many years. So that's the one thing I would disagree with him about. He might not be aware of that. Now, the Mets have to make certain moves now to change things. One of the things they need to do is they need a big starting pitcher in here to anchor this staff. Okay, they can't piecemeal it now. There are some big pitchers that are going to be on the market. Framber Valdez is at the top of that list. Some guys that they could probably trade for, guys like Sandy Alcantara. So there are people out there the Mets could really bring in here that could help this rotation out. This rotation needs a lot of help. That's one of the things they need to do. And they need to divest some of these everyday players to a certain degree. See what kind of trade market is out there for Francisco Lindor. What kind of trade market's out there for Brandon Nimmo. Look to see if you want to trade David Peterson in particular, because he is a free agent, I believe, after next season. Do you want to sign him to a long-term deal? And he's going to be 30 years old this year. What are you going to do with Pete Alonso? Are you going to bring him back? Who's going to replace Pete at first base? What are you going to do behind the plate? Mets don't have a center fielder long-term, as far as I can see. Right now, that could be ready for the major leagues. Is Carson Bench going to be ready next year? I don't know. He played in AAA this year, and in the last few weeks of the season, kind of struggled a little bit. But these are the kind of players, these are the kind of moves the Mets have to consider. Also, we mentioned Glenn Sherlock retired from the Mets, and as you know, Glenn Sherlock was in the major leagues as a coach for a long time, and he was the Mets catching coach for a long time, last few years. I would hope that the next move the Mets make is getting rid of Jeremy Hefner as pitching coach. They have to. He's been here 5 years. He has lasted many, many managers, and of course, he's lasted ownerships. So he has to go. And there are going to be some other moves. From what I understand, little Andy Martino from SNY said the Mets were going to make a lot of moves with the coaching staff, and they need to. And bring in big people. I think bringing in Willie Randolph and Carlos Beltran onto the staff will really give this manager a little bit of help in terms of gravitas in the clubhouse. And I also would think that it gives the Mets an out in case there's a problem going into next season and they get off to a slow start. If you get off to a slow start, you can ask Willie, we need somebody. Can you manage this team this year? And Willie would be more than happy. He would love to come back, I think. Would love to be the manager of the Mets again, to prove himself again. Everybody wants to prove themselves. And of course Beltran is there. Thank God let's have Beltran in the organization still. But those are the kind of players the Mets, the kind of moves they need to make, the kind of men they need in this. Hopefully to do that. It was a great idea by Evan Roberts. Mets should seriously consider that, especially if they get rid of most of the staff. A lot of these are holdovers from Buck Showalter anyway, and Mickey Callaway too. Or Mickey Callaway, Luis Rojas. I mean, and even Beltran. So Mets got to do something smart here and just do an overhaul of everything. After 2007, they didn't do that. They just brought in Santana, and it just didn't work. They had the same kind of mix with the position players. They can't be like married to these guys, especially if there's a problem in the clubhouse. So, thank you for watching this video. And of course, we have memberships here. Please send me a great super thanks, and please, of course, wish me well because I don't feel well. Let me get the hell out of here, and I'll see you later.